Alright guys, ingenuity here, and today we're going to be talking about the Panzer III M and the current stage of testing for ground forces in Warfront, the closed beta test. Now recently you might have known it's been shifted to the live server. Nightly is not being used currently. It may go back to that, or certain things may be tested on that, but right now it's basically we're looking at the full build of how it's going to come out. It's in its own tab on the research trees. Germany and Russia are basically done by the looks of it. The solid groundworks are there. And we've had the first real test of general progression where we've had everything available. We've gone right back to the start and gone from the beginning to work our way up. Currently I'm researching the Tiger II and the Panther D, I believe. I think it's the first one. But I'm really enjoying the Panzer III M. This tank is a fantastic machine for Era 2. Whether it's going to stay there or not, I genuinely don't know, because it is, compared to what it fights, is definitely an excellent machine. Like the Panzer IV-H and the Panzer IV-J, I want to say. I'm not sure. It has a spaced armor basically. You can notice on the sides it has the side skirts, it has the turret outer skirt, and then on the front where I think it's the driver's hatch and the gunner, they've both got like a portion of spaced armor. Also on the mantle it's got a raised out part just for the extra protection, and it definitely, you notice it, a massive difference from the Panzer III before it. It's got the 50mm, which is a great long-range gun, but it is capable of one-shotting many tanks of the tier, especially T26s and BT7s. T50s not so much though, they do take a little bit, but they do have quite decent armour sloping. T34s, depending on where you hit, is very decent against those. But as soon as you start to get into sort of the KV1, KV2 area, then you start running into a bit of a brick wall. But luckily this game was T28s, T26s, BT7s, I can't even say it, T50s, and I think there was a T34 somewhere, but generally it wasn't that much of an issue, and it ended with 17 kills. I think 2 was AI and 1 was an AA. The rest were all player controlled, which was great. This was the main part here. I was just charging around, and I hadn't played ground forces in quite a while on this map when this game happened. I forgot how much of it. It's basically a giant circle with many paths going down the middle. But you don't really want to go down the middle because you've got tank destroyers sitting up on either team's ridge, which can annihilate you so easily. So never recommend that. What I'd forgotten about, and that was just hilarious. I love doing that. And then you just go pow and blow his crew out of the tank. What you don't really want to do is go down the middle to get annihilated, but what you can do is, the map is basically very circular around the edges, and each one leads into a base cap usually, or a spawn area. And at the moment I was more concerned about what was firing at me, because most of the team knew I was here, and there was T26s and BT7s rushing me, the odd T50 showing up, but I didn't know right now that I was very slowly getting my way into tank destroyer and the spawn area without me even looking at my map, which wasn't the best of moves, but luckily it came out in my favour. I didn't realise where I was until they kept spawning back in the same place. And I was half expecting some chat rages, but at the moment, at this point, I still hadn't realised where I was. It was only when, you'll see in a second, they keep spawning back in the same place, and you don't have to do that. There's 2 spawns on this map at least, and you can select which one. Why they kept spawning back here, I can't understand, but luckily I got that first T26 on the run down. This one took a couple of hits because I was shooting in stupid places, but then I did apparently ammo rack him or do something explosive. And about now is when I realise I'm in an area I probably shouldn't be, because I could get potentially annihilated if something did show up. And there you go, that T26 is basically just spawned straight back in there. And now it hit me, so I was continuing going straight, and I thought I'll just stop and take this guy out. I didn't angle my arm because it's a T26, I thought I could handle it, but if you look there's another one spawned in. I'm not sure what that is. I think it might be a T26 or a T50 or even a BT7, but he's basically just taken out my engine and damaged my track. You can't quite see the damage model on replays, but basically I'm not going anywhere now. I've lost my armor side skirt, my turret's vulnerable to the left side, and they're just shooting my engine. They can just keep me here. I don't know how I didn't get an engine fire at this point. I did get a warning for a crew fire. Nothing come about of it though, and it was generally fine. So I don't really know what that was about, but I decided to call an artillery strike in on there since I wasn't going anywhere. And they just kept spawning back there. I don't know why, but they insisted on trying to kill me. Now, I generally did think I was going to die here because like, I don't know how my engine took this much punishment. Luckily, the artillery did give me a bit of an assist and cripple him, I think, so he couldn't really do that much. And by now the game is basically done and dusted. You can't see the ticket counter, but we'd basically captured all the bases here, and it was just a waiting game now. I wasn't trying to initially spawn trap them. I didn't know where I was until it was too late, and once I didn't want to spawn trap them, I kind of wasn't going anywhere here. You saw the amount of module damage I received from those shots, and it's my own fault because I should have angled. I just underestimated what these little tanks can do when they do have two of them firing at you. But then I think they finally made the right decision and stopped spawning there, and they started spawning at the road, but it was a bit too late. So I got my track back, and I did call an artillery striking up the road just in case they was waiting for me. But it was over, and that was so far currently the best game I've played in ground forces. I did have a couple of decent games in the Tiger, but I'm not really going to evaluate that thing's performance right now because if you play it in arcade you face reserves. If you play it in historical battles you get like a 3-hour waiting line, and even then you can still face reserves, so it's a bit of a hit and miss. Era 2 is really the sweet spot for me, and this tank has just been fantastic all the way through the open stages of very late closed beta test. I believe we're pretty close as it is right now, but we'll see how that plays out. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe.